Upcoming Board of Education is now called to order. Roll call. Thomas Blakely. Here. Brian Casey, excused. Stephanie Cogan, here. Rose Gigliello. Here. Jennifer Houlihan. Here. Michael Keane.
Here.
David Keel. Here. Christopher Larrabee.
Here.
And Mr. Music is excused. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda item number 3, approval of the minutes. We are looking at the reorganizational meeting minutes of July 1st and the regular meeting of July 1st. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, I will take the motion. Mr. Blakely, second. Mr. Larrabee. On the motion made by Mr. Blakely, seconded by Mr. Larrabee, that the minutes of the reorganizational meeting of July 1st, 2025, and the regular meeting of July 1st, 2025 be approved. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Agenda item number 4, Superintendent update, Dr. Perry.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Just a couple updates. Number one, related to construction. We are continuing to work on meter, Elisha Hill and the high school. It's going to be coming right down to the start of the new school year. So the classrooms will be functional. There obviously will be some construction ongoing. Our goal is to get students and staff back in safely into those classrooms. We understand there's delays in getting into your classrooms as you traditionally would to set up for the year. We apologize for that, but we will make sure we work with our contractors to have classrooms that are ready and prepared. They won't be 100% finished. So just to let you know, obviously, if you've driven by Elisha Hill, we're still working on the outside facade. Windows are being installed, and they do good work in a short period of time, but a lot of work to be done. Same thing in the high school. We have English and social studies wings, known as the F wing, being renovated. Right now, it's framed in sheetrock, but we're waiting on installation of windows. And again, that will be work in progress. Some good things. We're making progress on the exterior of the buildings. You see in the Elisha Hill parking area, some expansions to the Elisha Hill parking area, some upgrades to the high school. Paving on the science wing will be going on this week, and hopefully completed by early next week. Shaker Road, they're making good progress on those classrooms and the windows at Shaker Road. But if you were here in June, it's a lot different than it did when you left, but we still have a long way to go. Driver's education, bringing driver's ed back this year through a partnership with Albany County. Albany County, through their stop arm camera fines, has worked with us on helping to pay for the training for 2 of our staff members this year to be trained as driver ed instructors. That includes training out, I think it's SUNY Oswego, but about a 2-week course, some that's online, some that's in person. It'll allow our 2 instructors to not only provide the classroom support, but also the driving component, which we haven't had for several years now. We will start with about 16 juniors and seniors in high school and be just at the tail end of their school day, and the district will provide a vehicle for that. So we're excited for that. There is a cost, and the registration is ongoing now. I think right now we're at capacity. The goal is to have a driver's ed program in the fall, another one in the spring, and then expanded in the summer. Year 2, our hope is to train 2 more teachers to be driver's ed instructors. You have to be a teacher and you have to be a driver ed instructor. That's a little bit of a combination of the 2. You can't split the duties very easily. So we're working through that. We're appreciative of our staff and Albany County helping us to offset some of the costs for the training. So those are some good things.
Very good. Thank you. Does the board have any questions for Dr. Bell? Well, hearing none. Agenda item number 5, new business. Would anybody like to speak?
Had the opportunity to see the Mean Girls Junior put on by the Friends of Theater Arts. Fantastic job. Again, large cast and ensemble. So it's great to keep building the strength in our programs that we have in the district. And then I had the opportunity, along with yourself, to attend the NISBA Leadership in Education. It was a lot of different areas. It was great to hear about the ex officio and what's been successful for other boards that have had the student board member in the past. Obviously, Jacqueline and Dr. Perry presented on financial aspects of the district. It was great. It was, a blend of information. It was nice to see collaboration of folks like yourselves, along with, when your panel was a board president, and so really hearing those different perspectives was great.
What else?
Just like to remind the audience and anybody listening at home that we have a Hall of Fame, Academic Hall of Fame induction ceremony in early November. And if anybody has somebody in mind to nominate, we would love to have you do so. The nominations, I believe, close by August 30th or 31st.
31st, November 6th.
November 6th is when the induction ceremony is. So we're looking to honor so many other people that have contributed so much, both at the time they were here, as well as what they've done outside of the school. So think about it. See if you can think some people that need to be nominated. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. I will add that I went to Roselleville on the last day of our English language learners, and it was a great course. Great to see the kids helping each other, learning new stuff. Was it Sally Ward? Yeah, Sally Ward was the teacher. She was just great. So we got to sing an old Girl Scout tune that I guess I remember. So that was I'll spare you from it, but it would be familiar. And the leadership, as Mr. Keene said, the leadership conference was very good. The highlight was, of course, Dr. Perry and Mrs. McAllister presenting on school finances. We are very fortunate to have their
Riveting way
guide.
to kick off the morning.
I know, right? It was a great way to kick off the morning. So that is that. Anyone else? Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, Vincent. Yes.
Colleen's Eye Care wanted me to reach out to the board and say that they're holding freshman orientation is happening next week, the 18th through the 21st. And every year the freshmen do a day of service. So this year they're working with Eye Care, and we're working with Albany Housing Coalition. And we are going to be at the Connors House that day. And a bunch of the freshmen, I think about 60 or 70 of them are going to be there. And they will help bake cookies for the residents. They will clean in the yard, among other activities. And the cabinet and the board are all welcome. I don't have all the information right now, but if anyone is interested, I can figure it out.
Yeah, if you want to forward that to Dr. Perry and.
As part of the SMART program, we send it out, but I'll send it out again. I appreciate it. So,
Yeah. And just sort of for those who don't know, an introduction, New York State is putting together a student representative on all school boards. We were lucky enough to have Vincent Lorenzo come in. He is a rising junior and involved in just about everything. Yes. So he'll be reporting to us. Vincent does not vote. He does not attend executive sessions, but he is here to give us information because we really are interested in hearing how our students are doing, because that is the most important thing to us. Thank you.
I would like to second that as just a very strong recommendation to any freshman parents to make sure that their son or daughter attend that orientation. As a freshman parent last year, I think it's a nice transition, especially for kids that might be a little nervous about going to the high school. starting to meet a good crop of kids that they come into, and then, you know, they meet some of the teachers that are there, and it's a very well-run program, so.
Fine endorsement. All right, thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Houlihan.
I just wanted to add that there's a really exciting opportunity for all student board members in the region on September 17th, where they're being invited to meet with the commissioner, and Vincent is going.
Vincent is going, yeah,
So that's
thank you.
amazing.
That's great. Thank you, that is terrific. I like that very much. All right, now is that it? Okay, very good. Agenda item number 6, this is communications. This is the public meeting comments. Meeting public comments. There's a little bit of a difference. I'm going to read what we expect of this. The Board of Education encourages public participation at its meetings and recognizes its responsibility to hear public comment. An acknowledgement of the public comment will be provided as appropriate. As a matter of practice, the Board of Education does not engage in dialogue or debate during the public comment period. Although the Board of Education welcomes comments about programs offered by the district and the efforts of its staff, the discussion of matters relating to specific individuals or students is prohibited. Okay, we'll start with that. I don't expect we'll have any issue, but if we do, we'll hear about it. We have 3 tonight. The first one, Heather Curto. Hello, Heather,
Hi,
how
how are
are
you?
you?
I don't know that I should stand up. I don't want my back to be to everybody.
Why
And
don't you,
I-
could you introduce yourself?
Well, yes, first of all, good evening, Board of Ed and colleagues and district leadership and families. I'm just very overwhelmed with everybody being here today. My name is Dr. Heather Curto, and I've been a special education teacher here in the South County District for 27 years. I also teach special education law at Empire University, as well as special education courses at the University at Albany. Tonight, I speak as an educator and a scholar, but more importantly, I'm speaking as an advocate for students whose educational rights are being violated. Over the past 3 years, I've watched our special education program unravel. What began as restructuring programs to opposite ends of the district has led to broken services, staff attrition, and now direct violations of federal and state education law. Just last week, 2 families were informed by phone that their 12-year-old children with multiple disabilities would be moved from the middle school to the high school due to operational issues. These students have IEPs that clearly state that their programs are to be placed in a specialized middle school program. According to Title 34 of the Code of Federal Regulations, Section 300.116, placement decisions must be made by the team, including parents. Under Section 300.321, parents are required members of the IEP team. In these cases, no CSE meetings were held, and no prior written notice was provided, which is also required before a placement change, violating Section 300.503. Under the New York State Commissioner's Regulation 200.6, paragraph H, subparagraph 5, students under the age of 15 may not be placed in a high school special class unless explicitly documented in the IEP. This regulation exists to ensure younger students are not placed in environments that may be developmentally or academically inappropriate. Remember, these students are 12. Staffing shortages have been cited as justification, but internal limitations do not override federal law. IDEA requires services to align with each student's IEP, regardless of operational challenges. Parents were notified on August 8th without warning. That phone call itself constituted unauthorized change of placement. Under Section 300.518, the state provision must be invoked, requiring students to remain in their current placement until proper procedures are followed and disputes are resolved. Across the district, students in specialized programs are being underserved. Some attended only a fraction of the school year without reevaluation, compensatory services, or appropriate outreach. Others are being held back, pushed forward, or placed in programs not based on individual need, but to fill existing slots. Instead of building appropriate programs in students' home schools, we are fitting students into systems that don't fit them. This consists of a denial of free and appropriate public education under section 300.17. These issues, along with a lack of training and support, have led nearly every teacher in intensive specialized programs to resign, transfer, or retire early, not due to a lack of care, but because the programs have become unstable and unsustainable. Staff have repeatedly tried to collaborate, raising concerns, offering ideas and solutions, and these efforts have been dismissed or ignored with no meaningful action taken. This is not just a staffing issue, it is a systemic failure with legal, ethical, and human consequences. Therefore, I'm respectfully asking the board to act in the following ways. Immediately convene emergency CSE meetings for all students whose placements were changed without proper procedure. Investigate staffing breakdowns and failures in specialized programs. Address long-standing concerns raised by staff, including workload support and program structure. Publicly commit to a time-bound corrective action plan with clear benchmarks for legal compliance and program improvement. And conduct a formal review of the administration's response to staff requests for training, support, and collaboration, including how educator input has been handled, and report those findings publicly. Our students deserve more than services. They deserve their legal rights. Our families deserve honesty and access to decision-making. Our staff deserves leadership that is collaborative, supportive of students, and follows the law. I remain committed to building a stronger, more equitable South Colony, but that cannot happen alone and without accountability and immediate action. Thank you for your time, and thank you everybody for your support.
Thank you, Dr. Curto. Not only do we appreciate the things that you said that need to be improved, worked on, whatsoever, also appreciate the ideas to help the program, because that's what we need to do. You guys are on the front line. I speak on behalf of the board when I say the special education program is very, very important. All right, thank you very much. Next is Kim Marinucci. Hello, Kim.
Hello. I'm Brian. I wanted you all to see. This is one of the 12-year-olds that they want to send to high school.
Evening, my name is Kim Marinucci. I'm a parent to a student in Santa Cruz Middle School in the special ed program. I'm here to formally object to the district's decision to move my middle school student from a 612 classroom at St. Crete to the high school due to staffing shortages. This change is inappropriate, unsafe, and in violation of required special ed procedures. I received a call from the Director of Special Education and Student Support Services on Friday indicating due to staffing, he will be moved. There was no CSE meeting, and it is required in order to change his building or his placement. It's 27 days when I got the phone call and school starts. If he was a typical child going into 8th grade, he would never be sent to the high school. South Colony's lack of staff is not the concern of my student or our family. South Colony's inability to retain good teachers who truly care for our children is a problem that the district has. The board should do whatever they can to investigate why and rectify the problem, bring back the great special education program that it used to be. I've looked on the website, I don't show any position for teachers except for a chem science teacher at the high school. So I want to ask, why is South County not actively recruiting special ed teachers? The more appropriate discussion would be to keep the 4th grade students back in elementary rather than push for 8th graders to be moved to the high school. South County has allowed students to remain in the middle school rather than move them up to high school. Sending a 12-year-old boy to the high school who isn't emotionally or mentally mature enough, thank you, to be in a school with is much older and bigger, is highly irresponsible, and will damage my student mentally and emotionally. This past spring, we did have a CSE meeting, discussed our concerns with behaviors of aggressions with his teachers and therapists, as well as the special ed supervisor. The decision was made that an outside placement would be the best fit, and we were assured that they would do all they could to reach out to schools on his behalf. There was also the issue with the student last year who was unfortunately bullied and had pictures taken of him in the boys' room, which was distributed by another student. It took the student's parents to go to social media and the news to get an appropriate response. I will not subject him to that type of bullying. I would urge the board to investigate this matter and the violation of special ed procedures. Thank you for your time and listening to what I have to say. And I truly hope that you take the opportunity to really think about the words you will hear tonight and act in the best interest of the students. Thank you.
Mrs. Mariucci, thank you very much. I know how difficult it is to get in front, and I know how difficult it is to have to advocate for your student. I really appreciate you doing that. Up next, Fausia Karim.
Hello, good evening, members of the board, parents, teachers, and everybody who came this evening. For the opportunity, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My student is having a little meltdown outside, but I thought the cute little thing would be here. I'm here today as a parent of an autistic child. The world of autism families often is unseen. Many of us work hard to keep up with the pace of life quietly and complex. But sometimes our quiet strength is mistaken for flexibility. And decisions are made without fully considering the direct and very real impact on our children and on our families. My child is a minimally verbal autistic student who has been thriving in his 612 classroom at St. Creek Middle School. Earlier this year, during a CSE meeting, it was agreed that he placement for the upcoming school year. That decision was made with specialists and myself. Yet, just days ago, with less than 4 weeks to the first day of school, I was informed by the special ed department that this placement has been changed to the high school due to staffing issues. No consent was requested. Please allow me to share what this means for us. CSE meetings and I help us plan a year ahead. We build our lives around the stability those plans provide. When the stability is suddenly taken away, the consequences are not just logistical, they're emotional, developmental, and deeply personal. My child has severe anxiety and he's on multiple medications. Then this major change will most certainly trigger a serious emotional response. He's 12 years old. The proposed setting in is 22. There is no separation during frequent fire drills on the bus and most likely in restrooms too. This has of subjecting a vulnerable 12-year-old to bullying, harassment, violation of personal space. He cannot even say what happened. This is not developmentally appropriate and it is not safe. A move like this would require careful planning, gradual exposure, and a lot of preparation to even be successful for him. None of that has happened. The teachers at my child's current school have successfully created a space where he could feel safe enough to engage and eventually thrive. The coming year in the same setting holds even greater potential for learning. I believe every decision should be weighed with pros and cons. In this case, however, we feel like the only pro is that it solves a staffing issue. But for my child, there are no pros. He loses his favorite school, his trusted teachers, his peer group, and the stability that took 2 years to build. This actually feels like a sacrifice, and it's being asked of the most vulnerable student in the class. I understand that staffing challenges are real, but they should not result in vulnerable children being displaced. The law provides for a statehood provision, which ensures that a student's last agreed upon placement remains in effect during any disputes. I am formally invoking that right today. I'm not asking for special treatment. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act guarantees every child with a disability access to a free and appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. I am asking for the law to be followed, for my child's right to be respected, and for his well-being to be protected. I respectfully request that the board reverse this placement decision and ensure my child starts the school year as planned at Sun Creek Middle School. I also ask the district to put clear safeguards in place so that no child's placement is changed without proper process and parental involvement. The real cost of decisions like this isn't easily measured. It's felt deep by the children and families who live with the consequences. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Karim. I very much appreciate you coming in and telling us. We, unless we hear about things and things are brought to our attention, the board can't do a lot, so we are very appreciative of this opportunity that you all took. So that was it, Ms. Karim. Yes. For that part, we are going to be talking to Dr. Perry and our admin staff. And we will see this. Special education is very near and dear to our hearts. All right. On that note, we are going to continue with our meeting. It is a very exciting meeting, so if you'd like to stay, you may. But barring that, go out, go get some ice cream, go enjoy this beautiful evening. If you'd like to go, you may go so now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.
It's just very flexibility.
We can still see.
Let me share the room.
All right, everyone. Let's continue with our meeting. Agenda item number 7, board committee reports. First up is policy, Mr. Larrabee.
I appreciate you two that stayed to listen to me speak. So we have two first reading, we have a first reading and a final reading for approval on two categories. See below in the minutes. Does anybody have any questions for either myself or Dr. Perry about them? If not,
No.
Oh, don't shut it.
Ask him to.
I guess they're just asking if you can go outside. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Larrabee.
you want me to go again? Or?
So the first reading is 5310 mobile devices in grades UPK through 12. Have we had any commentary?
Not recently. I had questions, so we put out a section on our website for Q&A, with some updates. Most of them have been around the exemptions. How the exemptions will work. There's a form tax policy. Once it's approved, that will work through the grade level principal and nurse's office. Exemptions are medical. They're related to translation needs as well as caregiver The caregiver really comes through a school counselor, school psychologist process of somebody who is taking care of a family member needs access to a mobile device. The exemptions don't allow a student to carry the mobile device with them at all times, but only to be used when appropriate. So if it's a medical, you're using it for glucose monitoring, you use it during that 15, 20-minute time period, then you put it back into the secured locker area. So those are the misnomers. We're trying to clarify that. We've sent some district communication out. The principals will also be doing that. Some of the questions are related to, I have a watch that has GPS capabilities to track a child, but it does not have internet capability. Can they wear that? You know, the idea is to restrict the cell phone access, the mobile internet access. We're going to work with families on those individual things. The policy is written that leave those devices at home, but that may be an exemption or maybe something we have to have a carve out moving forward. The technology is going to change between now and the time we review these policies each year, so we're trying to be as open-ended as possible, but use some common sense with it as well. When in doubt, we're asking elementary kids to leave their technology home. They really don't need it. Call the main office, get a hold of your child. Middle school will work the same way it has worked. Students have access to lockers. They'll lock them in their lockers or they'll leave them at home. And then the high school will be reinforcing with putting them in their locker and turned off. And that's really revisiting that messaging. We've had that in the past where we've had bags hanging over the back of the classroom, teacher's door, or in the teacher's office area. But we're asking them to put them in their locker or leave them in their car. And then if there are violations of that, there'll be lockable mini safes in the storage cabinets in the grade level principal's offices. So we'll work through those issues. There are a variety of methods to look at it. The carve out is that it has to be a storage device. Some companies are creating apps that put your phone in airplane mode to lock it out. Right now, the law doesn't allow for that to work in other states. So those are some of the technology workarounds that are out there. But there are districts using the under bags. There are districts going in the direction of the lockable storage area like we are. And we'll have to review how it's going. I think it's consistency and working to support our staff in the buildings to make sure that our kids know the message and that we are consistent with the delivery. Our intent is not to become the cell phone police, so we're instigating issues with students. We don't want to suspend them because of the cell phone or create bigger issues. I personally look at it, it's kind of like a seatbelt law. If you are wearing your seatbelt, no problem at all. If you don't follow that, then you're usually called on it and you get a ticket for it. In the cell phone world, it's the same thing. We're not looking for it, but if you're blatantly, using your cell phone in the hallway or violating it, you're going to get called on as a student. We're going to have to address that with you. And that's everything from put it in your locker to contact your parent to take it away from them. And then if there are behaviors that warrant, it could lead to further consequences, but it's not the cell phone alone would lead to a consequence of a suspension. It would be insubordination or foul language. So try to minimize those, de-escalate when we can, keep the emphasis on academics in the classroom and good communication with kids.
Could I ask that perhaps around October 1st or sometime at that time, we get a principal and I'd also like to hear, Vincent's going to tell us from the student aspect, I know, but maybe from the monitors, I'd like to know what they're facing, what the principals are facing, and what the teachers are facing. So I would like to
We can certainly
get
do
an
that.
update.
We have to provide a yearly report on student management related to this. So we'll be tracking that information now. Certainly bring out Mr. Burrow or the grade level principals to talk about it. Vincent will certainly hear from his classmates and stuff like that. We already hear, please don't ban the cell phones. And I understand from the parent's perspective, from the teacher's perspective, and from the student perspective, how important each device is to them. But we'll do our best to be in line with the spirit of the law and what the law is expecting of us, and work with our students to make sure that they can communicate with their families and that the families can communicate with them. So Parent Square is an option for those things. Right now, a parent can't directly email their child, but those options are things that Parent Square and the company is trying to work on to provide some direct messaging opportunities. Right now, call the grade level principal's office or call the main office and get a message to your child. They can certainly use phones, whether they are in the offices or in the classrooms, for calling back for the typical communication with families. Work in progress.
And I think I did bring it up before that it is a great idea to really stress at that freshman orientation, what the rules are, so we hit them early and then hopefully it can spread throughout everything else.
So the culture at the high school, having had a son just graduate and one entering high school, the overwhelming majority of the children do not use their lockers, right? Like nobody uses lockers. So what's going to be different in terms of preparing the kids? Will there be, to Chris's point, during the freshman orientation, are they going to be assigned their locker, have their locker during orientation, open their locker, et cetera? And then what about the sophomores through the seniors who are accustomed to not using lockers?
Great question. We were just talking about that today with Mr. Burrow and Ms. Bullock. So the locker accommodations will be available in Aspen for all families. What I talked to Bill about today is we're going to need to train students on how to open their lockers. Many of them have not opened a locker since middle school, and they may not have remembered. So just like we taught fourth graders going into fifth grade how to open their locker, we had sample lockers to come in and test. That's something we're going to try to work on. So we'll have a bank of lockers that will have the locker number on there, and the students can come in with their families to practice on those as needed. They're tied to the ninth period class to allow a student to go to their locker closer to their ninth period class and then exit to the buses. But we will have to work with them on how to use it. So just like the orientation on how to get to and from class and navigate the school building, we're going to have to do locker one-on-one with a lot of our kids. Everybody will be assigned a locker, and the locks are provided and things like that. But it's definitely a change if kids are not been using them. They've been using their backpacks for 95% of their storage needs. And unfortunately, the law doesn't allow that as the sole way to do that. What we don't want to overact is if a student has an exemption, they're not going to walk around with an E on their chest that says, I got an exemption. So we have to be conscious that they have it. Let's address them appropriately and politely to say, is there a reason you need to have your cell phone out? And what is that? And they may say, I got a medical need, okay. Let's make sure we're communicating that to our monitors so they're prepared. They know who has some permission to use it when. But in many of those cases, it's not carte blanche permission to walk up and down the hallway.
Will they have something like on their person or that's available in Aspen to indicate that they have an
I
exemption?
think we're going to put a tag in our flag in Aspen to notify staff and have a list. It's probably the easiest way for staff to know that. And that flag will be seen by anybody who has access to it. Aspen, all other teachers do, and we'll provide lists for our monitors. I'm not sure if that goes into the pass system all the time. If there's any
Yeah, we'll see how that translates.
Securely pass may be able to have some flag on it, but we'll have to look at that. That's new to us. It's going to be a cultural change is going to be a change. I think it's a change for the positive. At the same point in time, I don't want to overreact. Our kids did very well last year, even though they had cell phones on them. We want to make sure that this doesn't become the sole focus. Let's focus on what they're there for, their subject area content, and work with them on making sure they're compliant with the expectations and stuff like that. So,
Are there increased, I asked earlier in the spring around the teachers' union perspective on this, because I'm wondering about, I think the classroom areas, there's norms that have been fairly well established, and the cases where it's problematic, it will probably continue to be problematic because it's an adult-centered, the adults set the norms. But I'm curious about sort of, cafeteria duty, right? Like if I'm a teacher with cafeteria duty, are there more duties assigned so that, and maybe that's premature because we haven't even seen yet what it's going to be like, but I'm just curious about more of the unstructured spaces than the classroom spaces.
well, I think one of the things they had last year when we instituted the security pass system, our cafeteria supervisors needed to initiate and manage that process. So kids were using their cell phone as they passed. They'd go up to the teacher and say, bathroom, okay, they punch in the system and they have the pass. So that's probably going to be done off the Chromebook now instead of the cell phone. So there's a challenge with that. But yes, they are managing different things. We're going to have a better presence in our cafeterias early on to make sure that we're reinforcing that message, utilize our camera system as need be, and those that are in violation have those conversations with them so that they understand that. It's not going to be foolproof. I think the districts that have used the yonder bags will talk about that there's challenges with those as well. Whether it's a fake phone or breaking the bags open, there's always some level of individual who wants to try to skirt the rules. So we're trying to make sure we're as consistent as possible so that students understand the messaging. I think by and large, when they understand our messaging, we're consistent, they'll be compliant. If we're inconsistent, they'll sniff that out in a second and take advantage of those inconsistencies. So we've got to do our best to be consistent with them.
How many of the lock boxes are in the house? Principals lock for the.
I think there's one for each grade level principal, but they hold 40 devices or something like that. So hopefully we're not collecting 40 or more devices. If we need, we'll buy more, but we have a larger safe that would house 1,000 or more. We're not planning to use it that way, but we certainly could put it in the principal's main safe and put every phone in the district there, but let's hope we can get to that point.
Yeah.
Traditionally, Jen, just to speak on what you're talking about, we usually do training with those who are doing supervising study hall and those who
That's
have,
what I was, yeah.
and that'll just be an added component that we have to talk about just to make sure everyone's on the same page, because you can handle it a variety of different ways, but that just creates more consistency. So I think that'll just be part of that first couple of days, the instruction and supervision and expectations for it.
But, yeah, I mean, it's even the yonder bags are a challenge because I've been told by the kids that like on TikTok they can buy fake phones to put in.
So do it.
Right. So it does seem like there's no good way, unfortunately, other than just.
I think we've been talking for years about college and career readiness, just another area that we have to prepare our students on how to manage life beyond high school and college. The bag, if you're in the yonder bag for 4 years of high school and you go up to college, for a job, you don't bag and put your phone in. You gotta know how to be professional, you gotta know how to be a student when you turn it on, turn it off. Just navigating those conversations are gonna be probably abundant at the beginning, but hopefully curtail as we get there. And that's our responsibility eventually.
Well, we'll certainly get those that information, have Mr. Bell come up and talk about this. You want to know how we're doing.
Do you have like a date in mind in terms of like backward mapping if we need to course correct?
I would look, certainly the 5-week mark is going to be a good indicator at that point in time. And then if we need to, correct our processes or reinforce our processes, we will. But hopefully by that 10-week, at the end of the first quarter, we're going to know if we're going to be successful. If we need to course correct, we will. I think with anything that's new, there's always that learning curve. And, I've talked to folks who had implemented the yonder bag in smaller districts and larger districts. There's benefits to both, but they're finding that the initial reaction to having those bags has lessened over the years to it's becoming less effective. So that's why they were looking at other ways through technology to block the device. A alert reminder that would put it in airplane mode would solve that issue, and it's currently not allowed. But there are companies that are working to provide that for parents and for students, and that may be the way to manage it. But currently, it's got to be a lockable setup. So we'll work through that. I think our kids will do work on it. But again, there'll be some stumbling blocks like any new policy. But Vincent will ask for your feedback too. And
I think the majority of people understand why it's happening. I feel like everyone knew it was going to happen eventually. No one thought it would be coming from the state. We thought it would be like a district-wide thing. But I think everyone understands why it's happening. But like the first few days, I think it'll be easier to get the freshmen on board, the incoming freshmen. Doing this for 3 years, and I think I don't think in the classroom is going to be a problem because most teachers set that rule the first day and then everyone follows it majority. But I think the only issue will be like what Ms. Willihan said would be the cafeteria, passing period, study halls, and just having monitors and teachers just all collectively, this is how everyone needs to do it. Because some kids will say like, why does 8th period lunch, why do they get to have their phones when 6th period is so strict? It needs to be consistent for everybody, so.
We incorporate into like our Friday updates, any, just from a numeric standpoint, any like discipline that maybe started with a cell phone and then resulted in other things.
Yeah, we're gonna track that through Aspen, so we will be able to provide that for you. And try to get a good number as to what that looks like. We don't really know how many cell phone infractions we had on, a given day last year. I don't know if we tracked that, but we certainly can provide those numbers.
I'm curious about the demographics as well.
Okay, and then the final reading and approval is 2245, the student member of our board. Any questions on that?
Speak now, Vincent.
I'm out of here.
Okay. On behalf of the policy committee, upon the motion made by committee chair member Christopher Larrabee, recommendations that the revisions made to the above stated policies be approved as presented.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much. I appreciate the discussion too. Agenda item number 8, reports for information. This is the next gen stage 1A, 1B, 1C. Does it end with 1C?
Yeah.
Okay.
Until 2A.
No, until we go to 2.
2, yeah.
We don't have change orders here for 2.
And would you like to highlight anything, Ms. McAllister?
I just wanted to briefly go over just the reason for some of these change orders. The majority of the first 2 on any of the lists that you see on the contractor list, it's listed by contract, and then the columns have the building. So the first 2 are our cooling change orders that we added after they're just officially in as change orders. We did those, added them as alternates within our first meeting after awarding those contracts. So those are there. Other things are some discovered conditions along the way that we have had to address. One of the big ones being the steel that was needed at the F-wing windows. That is the big number 1 that you see there. That one is getting done right now. The steel is in, they're working on it. We need to execute that fast. So it's just to fasten it to the, once you take it off, that's when you discover, okay, there's something that we need to address. Additional abatement had to occur as well. There were some missed items on the original scope and some design changes that resulted in some credits or some ads to align with the district vision. So that's the gist of the change orders. And there will also be a couple of additional page 2A or 1C at Lashley Hill for the additional abatement that had to occur on the windows. So those 2 will be coming. We will report them as we get them. But per our resolution that we did last May, it allowed us to move forward with changes and then report to the board regularly. So we are doing those, and as needed, we get stuff.
Yes, that's right. Lots of signatures. I'm wondering if I get carpal tunnel.
Oh, I do.
Workman's
Ah, I don't.
The carrier's gonna calculate your salary.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. 0 divided by 0. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. McAllister?
Not necessarily with the change orders, but just with the construction.
Our goal is to have everyone in. There may be a wall up, maybe between a barrier between the window and the classroom. There may be a couple at the high school where we have 10 classrooms for a couple weeks, but the goal, we're making sure everybody's in, teachers are in, everybody's in. The fast half field at the high school is working, along with all the mechanical, like we have the Jezzer, we have the R&B and Castleman are working. Like there's so many people there every day, getting these classrooms ready. We're working hard at same thing at Shaker Road. Those classrooms are coming along really, really well. All the windows are done at Shaker Road as well, so that's really great. They've got those done while the abatement was going on at the high school, shifted over to the high school now. So now the steel's ready, we're ready to go in. But we do have the board walkthroughs next week and we'll be able to do a really good, but the first floor maybe, I think is we're working there. We're working hard on it.
Stills Auditorium is closer to being
Looking
done.
great,
The
yeah.
wood paneling has been the slow part of that. The stage area is just about set, so, the chairs and things like that should be going in there. They're looking at that for, what's to say,
Yeah, 18.
we're hoping to completion by September. So that should be less of an issue. The areas that are, gonna be a challenge are, the Glacier Hill, front facing classrooms. The exterior facade will be looking good, the windows will be in. But those classrooms on both the lower and upper level will have a temporary wall in them. So the classrooms will be about 85% of the regular size will be a temporary wall as they continue to work there. There'll be times where we need to move people out for about 2 weeks into the library classrooms so that the contractors can get in there and do the work that they need to do both upstairs and downstairs, and we'll continue on that area. So they'll be able to get in there, they're just not going to be at a finalized state. The high school, very similar to the front side on Raider Boulevard, those windows are gonna go in first. And the back side, which faces the courtyard, may have some temporary, either plywood or temporary windows that are in there until they're shifting. So there could be some classrooms that are working out of either the library or the glass conference room there, which we've done in the past, but not full scale. We should be able to open on time. I know there's rumors that we're going virtual, and that's not our intent. The contractors, that's not their intent. But like anything, we will not be 100% completed for the start of the school year, which we didn't expect, but we'll be functional and safe. That's what we're going. Concession stand is about 95% done. We've gotten everything from the chip holders and the hot dog rollers. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we're working on now. We have 100% done is that the flooring is to our satisfaction. The locks all work. There was
Door
a
swipe worked yesterday.
door swipes are in, so
Oh,
you know, right now, Rose, we've got is one of the drains was not at the level that we wanted to be at, so they have to go back and reset the drain lower. It's functioning, but if we had a flood in there, the drain is too high, in our opinion, so they've got to come back and fix that. That's a half a day's work, they can get that done. The concession stand will still open and function. We've got a lot of the equipment that's been coming in. Right now, a lot of it's in Bill Lumber's space, so we gotta bring it out to the concession area, make sure it's all functioning and hooked up. A lot of small ticket items, but they add up to 100% completion. That's part of the challenge. And then once we get to that, it's making sure that it's to our satisfaction. Just because it's completed, we want to make sure it's 100% completed to our satisfaction. So there's punch list items that they need to go back and circle back and correct any errors or paint discrepancies and stuff like that. But, every area is under construction, but they've got a plan. They're working back the Glacier Hill classroom by classroom to have a time frame. But that will not be completed until the end of November to 100% satisfaction. So that's our time frame. We need to be done by the end of this year for state aid purposes, but at the same point in time, that's the goal. So people will be in there. They may be pulled out of those areas and utilizing as temporary space while somebody gets in and finishes the mechanicals. Heating season is kind of the goal. You're going to have a unit event that's in there. Unit event will be fully functional for November timeframe to start getting the heating season. So that's what we're looking at. Cabinetry and stuff like that may not be in all places, but that's kind of what we're facing.
Right away, press box.
Press box, I believe, other than coordination of some of the items for the IT rack, it is there. Our plan is to do a ribbon cutting on the Hall of Fame night, October 3rd. So I talked to Tim Ryan Jr. and we'll get official word out to the community. But that's our goal. We believe we'll be in good shape with all the areas. Press box is up and running.
We met with AJ Signs last week. to coordinate all the signage install, that will be done by them.
Okay, absolutely. Very good. Anything else? Thank you very much. All right. Agenda item number 9. There's a lot of things here. You go from letter A to Q on page 10. Is there anything in particular that should be highlighted at this point?
Many of these are, re-ups from each year. I would just highlight, I guess, item 15 on that list is the town of Colony and the district for our school resource officer. So that is a yearly, but we're happy to have the support of the town. We pay approximately 75% of one officer's salary. The town provides us not only our full-time resource officer in the high school, but our dare officers in our 2 middle schools. And got a good partnership and collaboration with that. We do anticipate some needs moving forward, similar to what we've done with Henry Roosevelt at the high school, where we will be looking at providing the possibility of a position at the elementary and middle school level to combine some of the same services Henry's providing, from residency to just day-to-day security reviews. But we'll work throughout this coming school year as to what time frame we may be for that.
Carrie, would you remind us again about number 1, I'm not sure what page it's on, about the proposal for building condition survey?
Yes, so the building condition survey is something we need to do every 5 years. The last time we did it in 2020, we contracted with CS Arch. We now are proposing a contract with SEI Design, the current architectural firm. They go through each of our buildings, put together a list of items that are safety related, that are efficiency related, heating systems, and basically a itemized list of everything within your building and a recommendation whether it is in good shape or whether it needs to be repaired or replaced, and a time frame for that. A lot of times it's roofs and boilers, but when you look at classrooms and safety items, it may be something that they say you need to increase some funding for flooring and stuff like that. That sets the stage for future capital project works. The state education department, Office of Facilities Planning, needs to have that 5-year facilities plan for districts to help determine what their next capital work will come into play.
The fact that some of our buildings are not all back to shape, basically, is that going to affect that survey?
Not necessarily. They're going to be looking at existing spaces, so not the renovated spaces that are already part of this project. They're going to be looking at areas that we haven't renovated. So if I were to pick an area like the high school, the science wing, and the current setup of those classrooms, whether or not they are meeting our needs from a safety standpoint, from an efficiency standpoint, are the windows in there needing replacement? Are the doors banged up and new? What's the lighting looking like? We've done a lot of work in a lot of different areas, but there's still areas in each building that will need upkeep and renovation. So
Kind of thing.
always roofs and boilers are ones that
Yep.
are constantly on there. Just when I think we're done with roofs, Jacqueline and Gordon come to me and say, this roof is 15 to 20 years old, we need to replace it. So, it's just the nature of having 8 larger buildings and the life expectancy of roofs and boilers. We've done a good job in terms of replacing them, but there's a lot of areas to cover on the roofing. So St. Creek's roof is an area that we've done work on in several spaces. There's still more work to be done. The high school roof, there's still work to be done. So that will be part of this upcoming building condition survey. One other thing I do want to mention, not to belabor this, but the item that is D, memorandum of agreement. This is the agreement with our community-based partner, Child Time Learning Center, located on 28 Lye Road. This is to provide additional UPK seats for our district students. So we have a waiting list right now of about 50 students. We anticipate with this agreement that Child Time will hire a teacher, a teaching assistant, and provide opportunities for 16 more students to potentially have a program there, which obviously is within our district boundaries and close by and a good starting point. It won't meet all of our kids' needs because we still have that waiting list, as I said, but we're hopeful that this partnership will lead to other
Now, we hadn't had a big waiting list years past.
hadn't. In previous years, we had maybe one or two kids if last year we had open spots. This year, I think because of the expansion to all of our buildings and the to a 5-hour program day, it's become more popular. I know one of the challenges still is the wraparound care. And so Child Time provides that, but at a cost to families. So we pay $5,400 per child, which is the amount the state provides us for our program in-house. And then families that want beyond that for before after school care would have to pay out of pocket. So that's how they work that. So it's an option.
The wait list is all based on
A
full
lottery.
day or
Wait list is
5
based
hour.
on the lottery. Like when we did our lottery, everybody that registered for UPK that was deemed to be a district resident got a lottery number. They went through, we picked the first 72 slots, which were full day. Then we went through the half day slots with the next group on the list. And if you were number one, you had your choice of full day or half day. Moving into next year, families will have the choice of full day, half day, or potentially our community-based partnership. And this could be Child Time next year if the board approves. It could be other entities that they may join us at this point in time. We're hopeful that some other partners like Our Saviors may be able to have a classroom in the future to provide access to the other side of the district as well.
For students who not receive an offer of a full-time spot because they were taken, but were offered a half-time spot or part-time spot and then turned it down because they wanted full-time, where do they rank in the lottery compared to those that didn't get any offer?
Well, if they've been offered a position even for a half day and turned it down, they're now off the list at this point in time. The next person on the waiting list has a choice. So we understand this was not something that was on people's radar screen a month or two ago, but they had an opportunity. If they selected to not join our program, at this point in time, they're off that list until we've exhausted the waiting list. And the waiting list will come in exactly the order. If we had 172 slots and you were 173 will have the opportunity to be in this program if they choose. They may choose not to. But we'll try to exhaust the list in that regard. Each year, we do have families that sign up and for one reason or another drop out or choose to not participate after a few weeks, and we try to get the next child into a program. But this year, it is more popular in Spiel. I don't know if that is families coming out of COVID and now feeling more comfortable sending their youngsters to a pre-K program, but I really think it's the success we've had in offering it in all of our buildings and expanding to 5 hours has become popular and a good thing for our kids. We have graduating classes of about 350 to 375, and right now we're offering about half of that in terms of spaces for UPK. So whether kids are seeking it elsewhere in other community programs or whether they're just not ready for a pre-K program, it's kind of
Letter N, the two vehicles, where are they being deployed to?
let's see.
The first one is the bus garage.
Yep.
The second is, O&M.
Back to 9A, yes, to know if there was an opportunity to really look at those placements that were encapsulated here. I know we already have a resolution that we discussed, but I'm curious to know if we took a finer look at those before we approved them. I don't know what this falls, like what is falling under this. I know it's a slower time of year for this stuff, but
we'll have to get back to you on that, John. I don't know if this particular group of applicants was scrutinized any more than it typically was.
can we then perhaps set aside A and vote on the rest? Can I make a motion to set aside A, vote on the rest, and then bring those back to the next meeting?
Let me just check to see what is on there. I don't want to delay a child getting into a program because of a delay on our procedure and things like that. So if I can, what I would suggest is, why don't we go into an executive session and we table it, have a conversation, and then if you need to approve it tonight, we'll bring it back to the board, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, fine.
I don't know my name. What is that specifically?
Placements for 9A, were there any on the special ed list for approval tonight? I don't have that on my sheet in front of me. Back to her.
Any other questions?
So we're setting that aside now, though, before we vote on.
Yes.
Okay.
Questions on anything on item 9?
We'll come back to it after.
Yeah, we'll come back to it, it's fine. Oh, all right, hearing none, we are going to suggest the motion. This is going to be for agenda item number 9, reports and recommendations for action, exclusive of letter A, so it'll be B through Q for this vote. I have a motion, Ms. Gigliello, second, Mr. Keen. On the motion made by Ms. Gigliello, seconded by Mr. Keen, that the above stated reports with the edit be approved. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Item number 10, personnel instructions, Mr. Ravalati. You're on.
Yeah, a lot of things happen in between board meetings, and when there's a large gap, there's a lot of business. So there's some people that have other opportunities in other districts who are supportive of that. And we also have a lot of new hires in there. We have fall placements for some coaches. We have clubs and activities. People start to get these things off their plates, make sure that the appointments are made so people are compensated accordingly. So we've been fielding a lot of different actions over the last 5 weeks, and here they are on the instructional side.
Is part. Yes, sir.
Yes.
I was wondering. Oh, that's great.
Seth?
Yes.
I'd just like to quickly say to this other opportunities, there's somebody on this list that I'd just like to mention. Not gonna do the name, but the best of luck to them. It's impacted my son amongst many other children with both in school and sports. And please come back and apply when we have something open in your area. So best of luck to them. Or her.
I think they ended up coaching for us still, but it's a full-time position elsewhere.
Other questions? Hearing none. I'll take a motion. Take a motion. Mr. Blakely, second, Mr. Larrabee. Stay with me, folks. All right, on the motion made by Mr. Blakely, seconded by Mr. Larrabee, that the instruction personnel changes listed on the attached sheets dated August 12th, 2025 be approved. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 11, personnel support. Again, Mr. Ravalati, pages 28-32.
Also a similar idea that there's just things that continue to move forward when we're not together. A couple highlights here, some titles that we discussed finally came through on the civil service side, which we're excited about, but also on the opposite end of the spectrum for that conversation, we have 2 retirees on here who've done a tremendous amount of work in service in this district. And we want them to enjoy their last, several months here before they enjoy retirement even more. So I'd be remiss not to mention Michelle and Kathy for their service to the district.
Thank you very much. And I see we do have bus drivers. Mr. Gary couldn't help himself and he came back.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Gary.
Riding a big bike.
It's like right. All right, anything else? Any questions? Hearing none, I'll take a motion. Ms. Gigliello, second. Mr. Blakely, on the motion made by Rose Gigliello, seconded by T.J. Blakely, that the support personnel changes listed on the attached sheets dated August 12th, 2025 be approved. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 12, resolution reserve transfer 2024-2025 school year. Any commentary on that?
This authorizes the closing of the tax cert account and putting it into the general fund. Item 12, item 13 will be reversing that process, which is required by legislature.
May I hear a motion on agenda item number 12? Mr. Keene, second. Mr. Blakely. On the motion made by Mr. Keene, seconded by Mr. Blakely, that the foregoing resolution be adopted. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 13, we just spoke about that. Unless there's any questions, I'll take a motion. Ms. Gigliello, seconded by Ms. Houlihan. On the motion made by Ms. Gigliello, seconded by Ms. Houlihan, that the foregoing resolution be adopted. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 14, resolution, reserve transfer 2024-2025 school year. This is on workman's compensation.
Yes, we're recommending additional monies from remaining funds from last year's budget be put into workman's comp and we have $75,000 additional to help offset future claims.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'll take a motion. Mr. Blakely, second. Mr. Larrabee. On the motion made by Mr. Blakely, seconded by Mr. Larrabee, that the foregoing resolution be adopted. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 15, resolution, authorization for sole source procurement for textbooks and curriculum materials. Any questions? Hearing none, take a motion. Ms. Gigliello, second. Mr. Keene. On the motion made by Ms. Gigliello, seconded by Mr. Keene, that the above stated resolution authorizing the purchase of the Great Minds PBC art and letter modules as the sole source procurement be adopted. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 16, future meetings.
Dr. Ferry, where did, forget where we're gonna start on August 20th?
I'm gonna send out the agenda tomorrow. All that on.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're gonna start here
Okay.
Yeah.
for additional meeting to review transportation needs and things like that. And our plan is to go to Shaker Road and the high school. On the 28th, we will then go to Weichkill and Veeder as the predominant schools. 28th. I can't do the 21st due to my daughter going to college, so we'll do the 28th. But those are intended to show you the current construction areas. Gordon and I have gone around to all the buildings and talked about the opening of the facilities and buildings like Roselleville, the front area, cleaning those areas up. I know Jacqueline has also done that with him as well, to put an emphasis on let's make sure we're putting our best foot forward with the buildings that are not under heavy construction. But our goal for the facilities along through is to really focus on where we are in the construction, what we've accomplished and what we still have yet to complete. So it'll be an active work site, dress appropriately. So, yeah, wear clothes.
Close.
And bring your helmet.
Bring your helmet.
We'll have some helmets for you.
Very good. August 26th, you will not be here. That is the next meeting. Very good. Thank you very much. Okay, it is anticipated that the board may enter executive session at this time. Do I have a motion? Ms. Houlihan, seconded by Mr. Keene. See, what should we be putting this under? It's going to be, we can do personnel.
I can take care of it.
Okay. On the motion made by Ms. Houlihan, seconded by Mr. Keene to enter executive session to discuss a personnel matter. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0, 7:15 PM. Thank you very much.
Thanks for sticking around.
Thank you, gentlemen.